I wanted more for myself. There was a part of me that still had hope and still had belief, right? That all came when the substances were out of my system. And so because I was able to reconnect with myself and determine what I wanted for myself and for my life, I started again to be able to take responsibility and see things differently and say, oh, it wasn't just my parents' fault. Oh, it wasn't just the kids in school's fault. Oh, it wasn't just this person's fault. I had a role in this because I could think clearly. I improved my mental health, and my relationship to myself and the way I connected to myself dramatically improved. And so when that happened, now I'm able to take that knowledge and use it in other relationships and use it to improve the relationships with people in my family. Because now my guard's not as up nearly as much as it was. I was still angry. I was still upset, but not nearly to the effect of when I was getting high all the time before I went to jail. I was able to understand my role in these things and know that if I was, and it had to also start with me taking full ownership and accountability, something I never did when I was getting high. Never, ever. Nothing was ever Doug's fault, ever. And so I slowly but surely started to work on the relationships with my family and started to improve them. I was less reactive in tense situations. Because before, when people in my family or when somebody would say something to me about my habits and what I was doing, I was hyper reactive, hyper defensive. Nothing was ever my fault, like I said. And that created way more tension in my relationships. But now that I could think clearly, I wasn't always on edge. I wasn't as defensive. I wasn't as paranoid. I wasn't.
Was it? Let's look. Shout out to this cracked ass phone, but y'all can see what you see. Shout out to Izzy. She going live right now. Appreciate that. You got the Jay Jordan dropped the video. What's it, 10:30? So Heather's live too. So shout out to Heather. I called her to say what's up. I'm gonna stop by there real quick because we membered up over there. Have a good day. Bam. And we out of there. I'm not even gonna click the play button. We just running back to what we gonna do. I'm gonna hit this play button though.
Self-conscious about what was going on in my life. I knew I was on the path forward. I was able to have more constructive conversations around that. And then I also started to see that the quality of the people that I spent time with mattered. That if I spent time with people that were constantly making bad decisions, that it was likely I was going to begin to make bad decisions again. That if I spent time with people who weren't into health and wellness and the things that I got passionate about after getting out of jail, that I wouldn't be as passionate about those things. I realized that I truly needed to spend time with people that had common futures and not common pasts. And the reason this happened is because of working on the relationship with myself, like I said, establishing some belief in myself, improving my self-esteem and self-confidence, and being okay with making my own decisions for me and not trying to please somebody else or the people around me. That was a big game changer. Because now I was no longer afraid to walk away with certain people that weren't right for me in my life because of fear of what they would say about me. Because I didn't care. I knew for me that I was making the right decision for what I wanted in my life based on connecting with myself, understanding myself, self-discovery, and then taking that knowledge and pushing it out there and figuring out what types of relationships and friendships I wanted in my life. Again, it's not to say that people are quote-unquote bad people. I don't want to say that at all.
What up,
All I'm saying
Tamika
is, as
Davis?
far as
Good
what
to
I
see
wanted
you.
in my
How
life,
you
where I wanted to
doing?
go, I need to make sure
Thank you for
that I was
waking up
spending
and
time with
coming to
people
spend
that
some
were
time with your
truly and
boy.
fully aligned with that. Also, as it relates to this relationship theme, I
Y'all know
finally
to
felt
go
comfortable being alone
support
for the
with
first time in my
Tamika
life.
Davis.
I would do
She'll
whatever I
post some
could before
good
I went to
things
jail
on
to
her
spend time with
community
people. I would go to
wall
all
because
the
she's a
parties.
great
I would
supporter.
get high with anybody I could. I would do all
Appreciate
these things, all
that.
because I was so uncomfortable with sitting by myself on the couch or wherever I was alone and not having people around me. Because I felt that if I didn't have people around me and that I wasn't constantly getting high with my friends or people in general, that meant that I was some sort of loser. I finally found peace when I was just by myself because I was able to harness a lot of that negative energy that would come up when I was alone. And I would think to myself, all right, now that I'm not focused on spending time with these people, what types of people do I want in my life? Or I would start to have some self-discovery thoughts on, okay, why am I feeling triggered right now? Why is this bothering me so much that I'm alone? Or I would be happy that I also found interest in other things, whether that was learning how to cook in alone time, whether that was spending time with my grandparents, whether that was reading more, all these things that came from me being more comfortable being alone, improving the relationships in my life, and most importantly, the relationship with myself. Today, from now being in recovery for almost 15 years, my relationships with my family are way better today than they ever have been. Not to say they're perfect, but they're way better. Because I've been able to reconnect to myself, work on myself, improve my own life, focus on my side of the street, focus on my mental health, my
What up,
reactions, how I
Sue?
show
Good
up
to
to family
see you. How
events,
you
how I show up
doing?
in conversations.
I know to
And
go
because
check
of
out the
that,
Bud
the
Files
relationships
daily.
around me have dramatically improved. Because before, it was totally different. I was coming to family events high, I was very reactive, and I was ashamed to come around my family in many ways. And I was also incredibly angry at them because I felt like everything was their fault. I felt that the reason that I got addicted to drugs was their fault. And it wasn't until the drugs came out of my system and I was in jail that I realized that the reason I got addicted to this stuff was because of me choosing to deal with my pain and my adversity in that way. So in the context of relationships, my relationships with people dramatically improved. The types of people I wanted in my life totally changed. And most importantly, the connection and relationship to myself improved so much. It improved so much. And that's been one of the greatest gifts. Quick recap of the gifts so far. Number 1, brain healed. Number 2, improved quality of life. Number 3, improvement in my overall mental health. Number 4, improvement in my relationships. And the fifth one is this beautiful gift of